Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video of us. Last time we talked about mobility and strength training. We were at our whiteboard and showed you 4 different methods that you can use to combine mobility and strength in theory. But today we're going to show you one full training day of Leslie and me, and an example day how you could use that theoretical knowledge we gave you last time to implement that in a full training day. We're also going to talk a little bit about our approach and why we pick certain exercises or certain methodologies in this sample training day.
So before we actually design a training program or a training plan, a training day, we go through an assessment with every single one of our clients. So let's assume he's our client and he just wants to get stronger, a little bit more, gain some muscle mass, and then also alongside work on the mobility aspect. So we're going through an assessment and we're looking at what is he capable of doing. So we always start with this because we want to know where is the body at, not only from a fitness level, but from a joint level and a joint functioning level, basically. So we've been looking at all the things, and he's safe to squat. Let's just assume that's what the assessment told us. So in his training program, we're going to incorporate the squats, and we're going to start with the squats as a primary exercise, and we'll do just 3 by 10 repetitions so that that's the baseline where we will start in this training block, basically. So we're going through the squat as a single exercise without any mobility extras.
So guys, our next exercise is going to be hip thrusts, and this time we're going to superset our strength exercise, our conventional strength exercise, with a mobility exercise. Just our decision behind that is she, as my client now, has very little time to in the gym. So we have to shorten things up, and a good way to have a short training is to superset your strength and mobility training and not just have one big strength block and at the end you have one big mobility block. So she's going to do 4 by 8 hip thrusts, followed up immediately after her first set without a break into hip extension passive range liftoffs in a pigeon pose position.
So next up in today's session, we're having staggered stance Romanian deadlift. So we're placing, it's like a unilateral exercise with some assistance of the other leg, basically, of that staggered stance leg. And we're pairing this with knee flex passive range holds. So in both cases, we're working on the hamstring, but one is in that elongated position and the other one is in that shortened position. Same with the hip thrust, we were working on hip extension, so we're working on the glutes, and we're also working on end range hip extension in that pigeon position. So we're just pairing exercises that basically target the same muscle group. Exactly. Okay, so we're doing tempo here, so we want to do a 3-second eccentric and an explosive up, and really engage the glutes when you come up. You don't want to go into an arch, you want to keep a nice posterior pelvic tilt. And you also just want to go down as far as you can without rounding your lower back. So we will do 6 repetitions on each side, or 6 to 8 repetitions with a moderate to heavy weight, and then we will go into the passive range holds.
So guys, now that we had three major exercises, the squats, the hip thrusts, and the stair stands, RDLs, and already 2 hard mobility exercises, mainly focused on hip extension and here knee flexion. And now we're gonna finish everything off with an AMRAP. So for all of you guys who are not familiar with AMRAPs, AMRAPs is just as much rounds or reps as possible. In this case, rounds, okay? We're gonna do 15 minutes of 4 exercises, and we're gonna just try to do as many rounds as possible. So these 4 exercises will be hip cars, level 2 hip cars. So we're gonna block ourselves. This is a hard end range strength mobility exercises, which really is demanding for your hip in the full range of motion. Then we have alternating lunges. So we're gonna do 16 reps here. Before we jump and go straight to a mobility exercise again, some natural leg extensions, or some call it active hero, which works again, hip extension, your quads, but also your glutes in this case as the main hip extensor. And the last exercise are some box jumps, okay? So as many rounds as possible, and this is just an example, guys, okay? So this is more linear based because, yeah, I as a client or Leslie as a client works or tries to go heavy on hip thrusts and squats. So these are mainly linear movements, so we'll try to strengthen these linear movements. Of course, in other sessions, we also focus on rotational stuff. Remember, this is just an example, and this could also be because she or I have some weak links in hip extension and knee flexion, and this fits quite well into this lower body strength routine, okay guys? So don't get confused too much why we pick certain specific mobility exercises and pair it with these. This is just an example how this training day could look like. Let's waste no more time, get right into the exercises.
So guys, I hope this video is of value for you. We just wanted to show you our approach and how a potential combination of mobility and strength could look like. Obviously, as Jan already mentioned, it doesn't have to be always these exercises. You can also incorporate rotational exercises like external rotation, internal rotation. It really depends on the person's needs, goals, demands, these kind of things. But this is just to give you an insight into what this could look like and what our approach is like. So we always start with an assessment. That's key to knowing what the person is capable of doing or able to do, and what you need to work on. So when you know your weak links, it's a lot easier to also target or program the strength training part and to program the mobility training part. And the reason we like to both program mobility and strength is because when we know the weak links after the assessment, we can give the person the strength exercises or the gym-based exercises that this person is able to do efficiently, effectively, without compensation and without risking injury. And then on the same side, we can also work on the mobility part to then expand this person's capacity and to also expand the exercises or the movements this person is able to do. So that's why we always like to combine the mobility and the strength part into our training program. So if you like this video, then leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. If you have questions, if there are things that aren't clear to you, make sure to put them down in the comment section, and we'll see you next time.